Hollywood's Corner, a brand new show in of wrestling. We sit down with your favorite indie wrestlers and we get to know them just a little bit more. I am your host, the Hollywood Assassin, your favorite actor, Marc Chouen, and I am joined today by my one to watch in 2021. She's one of my favorite women wrestlers out there in all of wrestling, Vicious Vicki. Oh, what do we have here? What is this? What is that?
It's the Punisher.
Oh.
He was just chilling there, so I had to. But thank you for a great introduction, my friend.
I do my best. I am not Shane Fair. Major props to him, but you know, I do my
best. It's pretty good.
What is up, man? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it really has. Nothing. I mean, shit's starting to get a little back to normal. Not too much, but in the wrestling world a little bit. So we're getting there.
Well, I see you doing your thing. You're different promotions with Titan. Where's some other ones you've been at? You're traveling quite a bit here.
Yeah, I did. I did one place in Tennessee. That was an experience. Titan ran quite a few shows this year. Well, last year. I'm training with Monster Factory right now, so they're going to be having some shows coming up as well.
Major props to you. I'm so glad to see you out there doing your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, you keep improving time and time again. I keep talking about on Shot Wrestling. You know, it's crazy because I feel like we started off around about the same time. I know you were training a little bit beforehand, before I got called your first match in BWF. But I had just started off in commentary at that time too, and I saw right away, man. I was like, man, there's something special about this one, because I think the first time BWF you were a Valet, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
And then boom, you go from Valet to BWF's first women's champion.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep. It was pretty exciting for sure. I had one of my first matches outside of WrestlePro, because I had started off with them my career. I had my first match with them. And BWF was my first singles match against Masha. And I always tell people, I'm like, don't watch it. I'm like, she was great, but don't watch me. I don't.
Great, yeah.
No, I was still so green. I still am, but like I was just, oh my god, it was so bad.
Oh, time out. That was your first match?
That was my first like singles match. Yeah.
God damn.
Oh wait. Well, yeah, because I had a few matches at Monster Factory, but they were tag matches. So that was my first. Yeah, that was my first singles match.
I'm just gonna give it up to me for getting the pleasure to call your very first singles match. That's right. Giving props to myself.
There you go.
That's how I roll.
Yeah, that was not a very good one, but yeah.
No, I mean, hell, like again, I can't stress enough, like the evolution of Vicious Vicki in such a short amount of time. It's just been unreal. And the fact is, I mean, you've done so much. You've won championships along the way. Again, like that. Had a tryout at the Performance Center, which I'm sure you learned a lot. I mean, can you tell us a little bit more about that too? Just like, you know, what are some things that you learned over there that you've transitioned to your game today?
Yeah, I was the December 2019 tryout, so it was like right before COVID, and it was just amazing. Like I was like a year and a month in. I was under a year when I got the call. So I was like, oh my god, like what? Like I couldn't even believe this was happening.
So they called you? Is that what happened? Did you reach out to? They called you?
Oh no, well, a lot of wrestlers, it's not just me. WWE has like a recruit page where you just put your stuff in and fill out.
Okay.
And just to be chosen from that, like nobody pulled any strings for me, nothing. Like I just got the email one day and I was like, oh wow, I was handpicked for this. Okay, cool. So I don't know if it's luck of the draw or if they actually sit there and like look and see like what they're maybe looking for. Either way, it was an honor to go out there. You know, to the likes of like a Robbie Brookside and William Regal, like, you know, heart to hearts with them and getting their intake on certain things and whatnot, little things in wrestling, not even just like the moves, like just the little things that, you know, don't make sense to some people or the fans, but like to us, it's just like everything, you know? So it was, I cried more than once when I was there because I just couldn't believe that I was there. Like it was just insane. And it was nonstop. You were always doing something. And I was number one because of my last name. So I had to go first for everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
having your last name being A, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. And then when we first got there the first day, I didn't know how they were going to do it. So it was promo day, like the first day. They made us get changed and everything, and they were like, "Okay, Victoria Andriola," and I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Like I was first. I'm like, "You out of like 42 people, I had to go first." I'm like, "Damn it!" But hey, I mean,
Do you
I
remember
didn't get the
the promo?
call, but
Do you remember what you said at all?
yeah, Pat Buck kind of helped me like narrate it a little bit, just because he's worked with them and works with them. Um, Kind of just like I wanted to do like a vivacious vicious Vicky promo because I'm a heel, and that's just it just would feel natural to do that. But instead, I just did a promo on who I am, and kind of like my addiction and everything that I've been through, but like more of like a minute of a storytelling thing rather than just like my character being a bitch. Like, and I just, did what he told me to do because he knows better. So yeah, I mean, he helped me write it out, and I just kind of remembered little bits and pieces. I went from there. So
And did you know Pat Buck beforehand, or?
yeah, I trained with him.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
sure that definitely helped out a lot down there too. Like, having a familiar face to go to help with the promo, especially
Yeah.
our number one on the ticket there.
Yeah, he wasn't at the actual tryout, but he helped me like beforehand, like be like prepared. Everyone at WrestlePro did. They really got me like ready, training wise and everything. So I was in a good place at that time to be prepared for that for sure.
So then what's that like as far as just like, obviously you've cut promos before. I was there for the famous BWF promo when you won the women's championship. What's it like, preparing for a promo like that as opposed to preparing a promo in WWE?
It was very nerve wracking, because I don't usually prepare promos at all. I just kind of do it. You give me the gist of like if a promoter gives me the gist of what they want, I just go right off the top of the dome. Like I don't write it down, I don't think about it, I just do it. And I've had much success with that. WWE I know is definitely more scripted anyway, so that would definitely be a challenge. Not that I can't follow a script because I've done mild acting in my younger years and whatnot, but I don't. It doesn't feel as creative when someone's writing it for you. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we all love about indie wrestling is that you can create your own persona
1,000.
and you get, yeah. So it's tough. And we didn't have to do it that way. I could have just did it off the top, but he just wanted me to be a little bit better prepared, in regards to maybe what they were looking for kind of thing.
Right. Of course. So it's cool though. You still got to write your own promo. It's not like anyone wrote it for you, said, all right, here you go.
No, he just helped me. Yeah. That
Yeah.
was really it.
Now it's do you still keep in touch with people over there? You mentioned William Regal, you mentioned Pat Buck. Is there still people that you can reach out to over there and be like, hey, what do you think of this or whatever? Hey, can you look at some of my stuff here? Give me some years.
Yes and no. Not anybody in WWE right now, but I do have people that are in the business or have been in WWE who I can reach out to for help and whatnot.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
what was the biggest takeaway, coming back home from the Performance Center? I mean, you were there for how long?
4 days.
4 days?
Yeah.
4 days. It's not just like when you say 4 days, it's not like 4 days. You're there for like 4 days, like nonstop, I'm sure, of training and
Yep.
there were wrestling promos, learning the business and whatnot. So like, you walk away, you're going back home. What was like the one thing that just stays with you as far as the aha moment that I gotta apply to my game here?
There was a lot of things actually. Just having confidence and knowing what your gimmick is, because at the time when I went, the vicious Vicky you see now wasn't really born yet.
Yeah.
So I still was rocking the blue and the vest, and I wasn't what I am right now. So I remember the biggest thing I remember, little thing, was when I had my tryout match, and when I came to the ring, I heard Norman Smiley whispering to someone else, "What's the gimmick?" when I came out, and I'm like, okay. Ooh. Not in a bad way, just like trying to figure out, like, okay, what's the gimmick? You know what I mean? Like, what is she? And it just I didn't have it yet. I didn't have the facials. I didn't have I was getting, even William Regal told me, I asked him, like, what do you think of my match? And he said, you have it. He said, you just have to work on the little things. Like, so that's where I'm at now, is working on the little things in wrestling. It's not necessarily just these big crazy moves. It's all the in-between stuff that people need to like really work on.
So when you talk about the little things, I mean, what are we talking about? Talking about the facial expressions. What else?
Facial expressions. I instead of doing like 10 strikes, like just doing one big one and letting it sit for a second and just kind of looking around, like just
Mhm.
letting things register. Like, after you do a big move, what are you doing after that? you know Little intricate details in wrestling, like if you watch Randy Orton, like he's like the king of that shit, like very like little minute things you're like, oh, that was so good. Like, like maybe like something happened prior, like 2 minutes into the match that happened to his wrist, and like he'll actually go back to that and like do that, like go like this or something, like little things that actually like make sense and tell the story, rather than just I'm hitting this move, I'm doing this spot. And I've been there where like I'm just focused on like what spot's next, but it's like I'm learning the more that I get advice and the more that I do it myself and I watch myself back, I'm like, oh no. Like I can kind of see like what I did wrong, and not even just the moves. Like the execution of the moves is right. The character is right, but it's like all the other things. Like after I hit that fall away slam and I kip up, then what?
That goes back to acting in a way, especially when you're auditioning. You only get like sides. I don't know if you've ever gone for some of these auditions. You get sides of a script. You don't get the full thing, and there's only so much you can tell off of that.
Yeah.
Or off the breakdown as well. You're not getting the full scope of the character, so you have to fill in those little details. And the
Yep.
other thing, it's just about being so specific
Yep.
that it fills the room. It fills the room. It fills those gaps in the character that you're not necessarily seeing on the paper. And
Yep.
it sounds like the same thing with wrestling there. I mean, you could hit a body slam and an elbow drop combination, but what else there to it? What happened there between? Did you hurt your elbow beforehand? You getting it back up?
Yeah. Exactly.
Or what's going on with the crowd? Who is this character? It all comes down to it's World Wrestling Entertainment. Stress on the E. It's about making the audience feel something.
Yep.
And I think that's awesome that you learned that. Because you were always very good at that. You're good at getting the heat.
Oh yeah. I try. I definitely do my best at that.
But it's cool. Like, I mean, like, as you talked about before, with the fist, shaking it off. Shawn Michaels is also very good at that too. Like, it was
Yep.
like no wasted movement. Like every little thing
Exactly.
served a purpose. And I
Exactly.
think a lot of people could take a thing or two from that. So that's awesome that you learned from that. Who
Yep.
would you say right now? I know you took a lot from Lita.
Mhm.
Lita's your girl. But who on today's roster, doesn't necessarily have to be WWE or anything, do you watch today that you learn from, that you take notes on?
I love Charlotte and Sasha.
Hell
They're
yes.
like just like the best right now.
What
No
do you?
hands down.
Oh yeah, I mean Charlotte Flair. I think you take away the girl from that too. I mean it's just all of wrestling. I mean she,
Yep.
my girl, doesn't matter. Sasha Banks on that level as well. They're phenomenal. When you watch them, I mean, what are you looking for? I mean, what do you feel like taking from them as far as?
Everything. Like for Sasha, like her attitude. I love her attitude. Like when she's like heel Sasha in her prime, like she's just such a bitch, and it's just so good. Alexa Bliss also had a very good heel run with her like facials and like the way she would look. Charlotte is just a powerhouse. Like she's just a star in every single way. Like she literally has every single like, I mean Sasha really does too, but Charlotte just really like stands out to me the most because she's like a little taller, she's a little bigger, but she's not too big. But like she like can hold her own. She's beautiful. Like she's just the whole package. Like you know what I mean? So it's just like I just watch like little things like executions. I also learn things from them, like moves. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try that. And like just their facials, how they like hold themselves, their cadence, how they talk on the mic, like the timing of each move into the next one, placement of certain things, like just everything. Like I really watch the two of them and really try to pinpoint certain things for sure.
No, 1000%. Like, as you mentioned with Charlotte Flair, I mean, she definitely has that physical presence, and
Yep.
she uses it very well. There are wrestlers that could be, they can have a certain physical stature, but they don't necessarily know how to use it. It's just like second nature to her.
Yep. Absolutely.
You can't help, like you can have like a 30 women in the ring right there, and then she stands out. She's front and center because
Yep.
she knows what she's doing. There's a whole psychology to it. So
Yep.
that's well, people knock her, but hey, you're the best for a reason. People are going to obviously hate you. Look at Tom Brady in the NFL. So
Yep. Pretty much.
you hate.
Yeah. No, it's true though. It's true.
But no, that's awesome that you learned from them. Let's go back to your career here. When I first saw you again, talking about being a valet, you were a valet for Nikos Rikos.
Mhm.
What was that transition like going from valet to a guy wrestler to becoming a singles wrestler and becoming champion? I feel like pretty fast.
Yeah. So I learned a lot working with him. So being ringside, I didn't last very long in the sense of not like just being a valet. Like I was the valet, but I was a worker too.
Yes.
So like I would go out for his matches and then I'd have to remember my own. So like there were certain matches that they would keep it pretty simple for me and like my spots and whatnot, but I would have to remember his match and I'd have to remember my match. So I kind of prided myself on being able to like remember two different things. But it started my career. I mean, I've told him personally, like I owe a lot to him because when I first started out, I was placed with him immediately. And we just kind of he just took me with him to every promotion. And in doing so, it opened many doors for me as a singles wrestler because I was his valet, but then he would say, oh, she can work too. So then they would throw me on a match. So I was getting placed at all these different places because of him. And the rest is history from there. Like once I split from like managing him, I just kind of developed my own groove. And I definitely am very grateful for all of that because it led me to where I am today. So
I remember so when you guys first worked at BWF, I before the card, full disclosure to everyone, I did commentary to them, and I would go to them and ask them for notes, like, hey, anything you want me to talk about, blah, blah, blah. Nikos Rikos talked about how he was a Taylor Swift fan, and then
yeah.
you could throw that in there. And I don't know why I got that maybe mixed up with like you as well, talking about like you both being Taylor Swift fans.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, you're like, oh no.
I remember that. I was like, nope, not me, just him.
Yeah, I know. You came to me the next show and told me, like, hey man, good job in commentary, but yeah, don't include me in that Taylor Swift stuff. Hate her guts. Not Swiftie by any means. I'm like, oh, okay. But that stood out to me because of the fact that like yes, you're a valet with him at that point. You were also boyfriend, girlfriend. But you wanted to stand off from your own. You didn't necessarily want to be lumped together with it. And not necessarily everything that Nikos Rikos does is what Vicious Vicky does as well.
Right.
You are your own person. And I think that was very important for your career as well to make people know that. Just like
When
hey,
I first started, I did his moves. Like I did the backstabber, I did all his moves, I wore his colors. And then I started to I was still valeting him, but then I started to incorporate my own thing. I'm like, I'm not Greek. So like once I started getting my groove a little bit, I was like, people would be like, Opa to me. And I'm like, I'm not Greek. He is. Like, I was like, screw this. So I talked with him and, a couple people that were helping me along the way. And I was like, what if I rock Italian? Like, I was like, he's Greek, I'm Italian. We're still, connected. I was like, I just want to be my own thing. But I loved managing him. I absolutely loved working with him. Like we got heat everywhere we went. Like it was just, we were, I'm sorry, but like in indie wrestling, like the best power couple I've ever seen on the indies. Like we were awesome together.
Time again, about that. The power
and
couple.
I'm not just being biased. I'm being honest. Like we really, really, really worked well together out there. But yeah, so I started doing my own thing and my own colors and rocking the Italian flag. And then the cheetah print started coming into play. And I was like, okay, now I'm getting Vicki. I'm getting my own groove. So, and then our dynamic got even better because I was my own thing and so was he, but we were still like unstoppable. Then it really was just, it was a work in progress. Cause once I was like copying everything he did, it was just a way for me to like get into wrestling. Like I just copied everything he did. Kind of like Essa and Lita, honestly. Like it was like that.
Right.
And then I just finally found my own thing. So
no, and kudos to you for that, because like yeah, you talking about presence. You definitely had that right away, and you're definitely getting at more and more and more. So like standing on ground from Nikos Rikos,
Yep.
that you were still together. It worked out really well. I said always on commentary, you guys are the power couple in indie wrestling, but unfortunately, not everything lasts forever. As I
Right.
understand, you guys are no more, and that's not necessarily a work. At first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was a work.
A lot of people did.
Can
A lot of people
you,
did.
can you tell us? Can you tell us what happened there?
We just right now, I mean, we're still really good friends and we still talk, and there's no like bad feelings or anything. There's a lot of love there. It just, right now it's just two different people wanting, I guess, two different things in life. So it's just was best for now. I mean, you never know what the future holds. I'm not gonna sit here and say, I hate him, or no, I have so much love for him. I think an idiot knows that I really love and care for him, and vice versa. So yeah, I mean, it's just some things just don't work. But it's, again, you never know what the future holds. So
As they say in wrestling, it's the same saying for life. Never say never.
right. So yeah, no, but we're good friends still and whatnot, and I still pick his brain. Like just like 2 weeks ago, I was like, "Can you watch my match?" Like I still do it.
No, that's
So
awesome. It's
no,
like, of course,
we're good.
you guys, of course, like, made similar friends.
Yeah.
You're working similar promotions. No one ever wants, that bad blood. I
Right.
myself have been the victim of a Showmance breakup before, and
Okay.
it wasn't that good.
Yeah, no, we definitely are very, very civil. So it's all good. Like
Uh,
everybody asked that question. I'm like, no, I was like, we're really good. We're fine. Like we're still friends.
I'm sure, like, I wasn't the only one that was a big fan of Nikos Rikos and Vicious Vicky together. Were there a lot of heartbreaks out there when they found out, like, oh my God, they're no longer together?
A lot of people in wrestling were like, what? What? What the fuck? I'm like, I know. They're like, is it a work? And I'm like, no, it's not a work.
I'm so glad I'm not the only
Real.
one about that.
But it just goes to show, at least in wrestling, like how powerful we were. That people were just like, wait, what? Like it was just, so that's something to say, that we made an impact on something, so that's pretty cool.
No, of course. But, just as things come to an end, it always opens the door for new beginnings.
Yeah.
And this is a time for you, for Vicious Vicky, for her to stand on her own,
Yep.
career-wise, personal-wise, whatever that is to you. And obviously you're doing your thing. I mean, how many championships have you held right now already?
I have 3.
Yes.
I mean, BWF, it's just, I'm not even defending or anything, but I have 3.
Now, what are they? BWF and what else?
BWF, Goddesses, which is Titan, and IWA.
Crushing it all around.
I love it. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's an honor, to be able to hold them,
What was it like when you found out you were going to win your first championship?
Oh my God, it was amazing. I think it was BWF.
It was BWF, right? I wasn't too sure. I wanted to check myself.
I think so. Either BWF or IWA. I'm not sure, but I want to say BWF because I was really emotional that day. So it's like to be the first ever, and then I was just like really emotional. So I'm gonna say it was that.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. That was a really, really cool moment.
Walk us through it. I mean, when did you find out that, hey, I'm winning this thing? Because it wasn't a gauntlet match. It was like a 5.
It was me, Karen, Morning Star, Vanity, Kodo.
That's right.
Nevaeh, Chantel.
Yes.
I'm missing somebody, I think, but yeah, that's all I can remember. Oh, Nicole Metalla. I think that's it. I think it was 7. I think.
Yeah, a lot of women in there.
It was amazing, and I found out before the show, and I'm like, oh my God, all these women here, and I'm like, oh my God, these girls have been here so much longer than me. I'm like, okay, and then I barely even did anything. Like they just had me being a vicious heel, just like chilling on the sidelines. I'm like, this is terrible.
No, it was great.
It got heat, so.
Nuclear heat. And for those that haven't seen it, please check it out on YouTube. Vicious Vicky, you are being modest as always. You're Filipino, but you're such a sweetheart in real life. Heat was nuclear. I was calling that match. You cut up promo. It was very hard to hear what you were saying. You could hear the emotion and whatnot, but fans were just nuclear heat on you.
Same.
They wanted Karen Bam Bam to win. She was like the face of BWF, and it seemed like she was the one that won, and you were underneath the ring or on the sidelines, whatever. And you came on in and did your heel thing and won. It was amazing. I had chills.
I got told to shut the F up. There were shut the F up chants. There was bullshit chants. Like, it was awesome. I was like, this is great.
It's every heel's dream.
It was amazing. I was like, I'm here for this.
And what was it like afterwards then?
So I just went in the back, like, you know, where like the equipment is. And I just like fell to my knees. I was kind of going through something during that time too, like something personal. And it just was like a boost. And I remember just like walking to the back by myself, and I just got on my hands and knees and I just started crying into the belt, because like, I just like, you know, to some people it's like, oh, it's just an indie belt. And it's like, yeah, but for me, like someone who's been through so much in my life and, you know, battled to get into a ring, and like just took me so long through my addiction and everything to like finally get here. I was like just so grateful for that moment. And it just made me feel so like blessed. You know, I was just so beside myself and just so happy, like, you know, despite what I was going through at the time. Like, it was amazing. So
for those that say that though about, oh, it's just a belt, I mean, this is your passion. You know, this is what you do. You know, and like as entertainers, you know, we are people too. We deal with our own stuff in our personal life, and then things are happening. But you know, when you put the work in and you get validated for it, because that's what happens when you're picked to be the champion. It's validation of your work. It's just an incredible feeling. You know?
Absolutely.
To say it's like just an indie belt, I mean, that's downgrading your feelings and what you've done as a worker.
No, I agree.
I think it's amazing personally. Going on to championships though, I want to hear your take on this, because you are doing a lot, and I know you're a very, very ambitious person. You know, Tessa Blanchard made history before winning the World Heavyweight Championship in Impact when she was over there. You know, you hear rumblings about women breaking the next barrier in wrestling. Is that something that will be on your list too? Because I was thinking about it, you know, I haven't seen Vicious Vicki in necessarily in intergender wrestling, but you know, you've done a lot of work. Maybe I missed it. You know, what are your feelings on that?
On intergender.
Intergender, something for your career? Like, is this something that you're looking to do?
When it comes to that, I'm not, and I hope this doesn't get to the wrong ears, and I'm not mocking it at all. I'll do it if a promoter wants me to, because that's just how I work. If you want me to, unless it's like something like, you know, inappropriate, but if a promoter wants me to do something, I'm doing it. There's no question. It's not my show. It's not my card. Whatever you want from me, I'll do. I just don't think it's realistic. And I've battled people on this a lot. The kind of way that I was trained, you know, by Danny Moff, Sean Donovan, Pat Buck, Kevin Matthews, Mo Bakara, they're all like old school, not like old school, but like they get it, you know, pro wrestling. And the wrestling that I grew up watching, and like the way that I have the love for pro wrestling, is because of it looking like a real thing and being realistic. You know, if I get in the ring with, I don't know, I'm just using as an example. I don't know. Give me a wrestler, Randy Orton.
Yeah. Okay.
No. You know, you watch a Randy Orton versus I don't know, Dolph Ziggler or whatever, like contrasting styles, but little guy, big guy, but like it's still a great match. It's realistic. It makes sense. You know, I just feel like for me, if I get in the ring with someone like that, or, you know, whatever, it's just like pro wrestling is to me, it's like, I like the art. It's actually, I don't mean to go off track here, but I did that I do the 80s Wrestling Con virtual signings.
So that what you're talking about too? Okay.
Yeah. So we'll segue into that. But this Monday we had Ron Simmons, and I love that I get to pick their brains and whatnot about everything. And it came up somehow, not intergender wrestling, but what I brought to him. And he said that was very smart of you to say that. And he just kind of gave me so much knowledge on it about how wrestling's realistic. It's a fight. You know, it's not just about all these different things that you want to get in and all your spots. Like I was saying before, it's about making it look like, wow, that really hurt, or wow, she really put the boots on him, or what, or on her, whatever. Like it has to. So I feel like if I'm in the ring with a guy, like, and I hate to say this, but unless it's like a shrinky dink guy, like they're gonna kick my ass. Like realistically, I'm not opposed to it. I'll do it because it's fun. Like something that I enjoyed watching was T.J. Crawford and Casey Cattell.
Mm.
I watched that and I'm like, this is awesome because they're both like tiny in stature, but also like the story. There was a story that synergy built to them, and that made sense to me. I was like, I like this. You know, it really just depends on the situation. Like if it's a storyline like in WWE, like Lita and Dean Malenko, I don't know. Like there was a storyline behind it, but he kicked her ass the entire time. All she did was like a float over DDT and a Hurricane Rana. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like she was in control of him as if she would a Trish Stratus. Like it just, to me, there's just, it's very tricky. Like I did an intergender match with Nikos for just taping purposes. It was terrible, but it was fun. It was funny. Like I don't watch that and go, oh man, like we really sucked. I'm like, no, I was still very new in the business. You know, it was just for fun. It was just a taping, whatever. It got hell of a lot of hits, over like 100K. I'm like, oh great. But that was just fun, you know, and whatnot. Like I learned from guys, wrestling with guys, but you know, when you're trying to go based off of like pro wrestling and the storytelling and the characters and everything that goes with it, it's just, I'm just very like about it. Like I'd have to like really would have to make sense for me to like do it.
No, and I think that's a very smart way of putting it. You know, I know everyone's got their own feelings about intergender wrestling. Excuse me. It's obviously very popular. It does.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Something that people would like to see from WWE more, but then also there's a group of people that don't want to see it, and I think for the reasons that you said too, because it just you know, it just, a lot of times it won't make sense. Like say you had Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss. Storyline wise, that might make sense, but you see them in the ring, Randy Orton looks like Andre the Giant, and you have Alexa Bliss that looks like a child in comparison. That wouldn't make sense altogether. But you know, you might have someone against Nia Jax versus Randy Orton. You know, it depends.
It has to make sense. Yeah. Like China getting in the ring, like it just made sense.
I totally get that. So then where would you like to see the women's wrestling division go? You know, right now, I mean, women's wrestling is hotter than ever. You know, they're breaking barriers time and time again. What is the next step then? Is there a next step at all even?
I think there's always a next step for everything in wrestling. I think wrestling always evolves itself. But I mean, right now it's like it's as good as it can get. You know, I feel like the women are doing things that the guys, you know, used to say back in the day, the women can't do this, and now the women are doing it like tenfold. So I just feel like it can only get better. It can't get worse. You know, women's wrestling was so obsolete years ago that it's like where it is now. It's like, it's just the amount of women wrestlers coming on the scene today. It's just, it's unheard of. And there's so much potential for things to change and evolve. So, I mean, God only knows where it's going to head, honestly.
And I'm sure you're going to be right in the center of it.
I hope so.
I see women, and it's not knocking the guys, but I think it's just a matter of like everything you just said. You know, I think the women, because of that, are hungrier right now, and I think they're performing on all cylinders better than a lot of the guys for the most part.
Yeah.
Every promotion, you just see the grit and the passion in there from the women, and they're doing a kick-ass job all around. And you know, I consider you part of that group as well. So kudos to you for that. Thank you for everything that you do in wrestling, and I cannot wait. Again, the one to watch 2021 for a very damn good reason. Vicious Vicki, thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Yes.
It's an honor. Much love. Thank you for coming on the show. Cannot wait to call one of your matches again soon, hopefully this year. And in the meantime, everyone, you can follow Shot of Wrestling. Every Monday, we put out a new show, a new podcast. We talk about wrestling topics of the week, review the shows, and you can find me, your favorite actor, the Hollywood Marc Chouen, at my website, yourfavoriteactor.com. In the meantime, guys, as always, Hollywood is out.